Hello, everyone. Please welcome yourselves and welcome back. Another week, another Wednesday, another 4 p.m. PST about talking about stuff, politics, philosophy, Marxism. Like talking about that one. And generally just the understanding of the material condition shared, which we go about sharing. You can't go out in the world and expect to do everything by yourself, right? Did you make the clothes that you wore or you're wearing now? Or did you make the glasses that you're wearing if you're blind like me, right? Did you make the phone that you're using? No. So we live in a shared world at its basis, to which the liberal wants to go and appropriate this relationship, making a vertical wall kind of vertical relationship. I consent to this, consent that, money transaction. Are you okay with this? This kind of weird formality. This lack of the family, in a sense. This lack of community. This liberal society. This I will do what I want to do. You let me do that. I will let you do what you want to do. I'll let you do that. Even if you suck as a person. What's that one quote? Who said this one thing? A super liberal said this a while ago. You can say something bad about my mama, but I will defend your right to say something bad about my mama because that's freedom of speech. Nah, you say something bad about my mom, I'm gonna beat you up because I'm not letting you put your disrespect on my mama's name. That's just simply how it works, right? And then we go about applying this to greater and greater things. Maybe you shouldn't be saying that, racism is cool, huh? Excuse me, right? Maybe we shouldn't allow for this any platform to uphold fascist rhetoric. We shouldn't be having this. Beat everyone up. Beat all of everyone up who thinks in such a ways. Private, competitive, barbaric, to its core. True racists, true dickheads, true assholes. And how does this relate to the Vanguard Party? We address these things. The Vanguard Party. I love talking about the Vanguard. Any sort of detachment, or it is this detachment of the highest, not the highest, but class conscious people of the working class, determined and devoted. Motivated by this ushering in a proletarian revolution, at which then will release the shackles of oppression from the working class, right? Posed onto the bourgeois in the dictatorship of the proletariat. Who is then oppressed, right? Who brings about this path to revolution? The working class themselves, right? But apart as a whole mass, a combined inseparable. The brain wouldn't do much if it didn't have the body to do stuff. The hand wouldn't do much if it didn't have the fingers on it to do the grabbing thing. The arm wouldn't be able to do much if it didn't have the whole hand apparatus to do the picking up of stuff, right? It's all connected to that, which makes us what we are, right? So the brain wouldn't know about the body, the fingers not about the hand without the arm, right? It's a relationship, an essential relationship, considered I would like to say a combined inseparable, right? The working class includes itself, the vanguard itself is not the working class as a whole, because not everyone is doctor, plumber, mechanic, whatnot. Not everyone is a communist, Marxist, theoretician, right? Not everyone is. And that's an important distinction to make in an appreciative understanding. We are not here to make that which we are seen and throw appropriated. We are here to appreciate as such, not because it is the morally right good thing or whatnot, because we have seen otherwise. We have seen what it is like to experience life, to have these people appropriate things upon throw. Segregation, slavery, privatized mode of productions. You're seeing it all happen. The making of the material condition bent on man, on the person living, instead of the other way around, understanding that actually it is us who bends to the material condition. We do not make the world makes us. That's correct. That's right. We can rearrange the world in a sense. We can bend its quirks, qualities, physics, right? But only to the capacity at which that the material condition will allow us. There's things that we cannot do, but we can do up here. And it is this relationship of the ideal and of the material that the Vanguard contests, right? How do you go about making the change in the world? See, there's this idea, this floating idea in just my mind, my brain, called the bourgeois party, or like the vanguard of the bourgeois. Right, not the proletarian vanguard, the super cool, highly class conscious, critiques capitalist system, ushers in proletarian revolution, that kind of proletarian vanguard. No. The bourgeois vanguard, the hero in your storybook, the Superman, right? The one great person who just inherently just dominates all and ushers in utopian peace. How lovely, how jubbly. Your bourgeois vanguard, your bourgeois hero. This hero, right, takes upon which all of these values: freedom, liberal, amazing, graffiti, do whatever you want. This peace and love and this getting along with everyone, righteous and just reason, which just makes sense. Yes, the ideal of this just makes sense, right? To which then that one great man, Superman, your bourgeois vanguard hero, does then embody. Take which that something is thrown and immediately know what to do with it with no analysis. It is this when the proletarian vanguard, the Vanguard party, this Vanguard entity does so intentionally and intelligibly. The understanding of what comes to us, right? That is how we kind of understand what to do. In the reactionary schemes of this mode of production, hand of the bourgeois, nothing is planned. It's a free market economy. Well, free market, right? But it is a free in which this competition lets people to do whatever they want. However, there has been this, since many a long ago, an accumulation of this sort of value, this wealth, due to this competition. It's because the capitalist of the past doesn't simply just go away. New owners take upon same entities, of which that entity then rules the scheme. Just this is the a critique on the like greater governments or like any sort of state. It is not the person in the seat we are after. No, because they are temporary. It is the seat we are after, because that is what is being upheld and made constant by its participants, of which then grant its authority, right? There's an interesting relationship with authority and participation. A little bit of idea cooking up in here. But going back to the Vanguard, right, establishing the authority, through that participation, linking the two. When you have more people participating in, I don't know, community work, and they finally start to realize, oh wait, maybe this is actually doing something for the community, actually doing something for people's material conditions, right? People are like, hold on, wait a minute. This thing might actually work. But it is this Vanguard apparatus, this detachment of the working class that guides intentionally where to go, where to redirect this labor, where to put this labor in particular structures, which will build community sustainability, right? As much as we want self-sustainability, right, we have to take care and address the whole of all to address and then give to the individual. Right now, we live in the system inverse. We take care of the individual and let society suffer, right? Or give society a regard to a secondary. Take care of yourself and then everyone else rises up, right? Rather than the intent should be, and, of course, as the Vanguard will, usher in, this intent for the society, the greater whole, because there's a greater whole that takes care of you, kind of like a matriarchal relationship, right? I talked about that last week. Patriarchy versus matriarchy. We live in a patriarchal, hierarchical, this type of top-down society, and where the matriarchal society has this in-out kind of inclusive, a centering around the taking care of the dependents rather than appropriating the dependent type shit. So in the Vanguard party, right? And this all goes into the development of a class, a particular detachment of the working class that will lead in hand the people of revolution. Because, as we say, not everyone's a doctor and everyone's a plumber or whatnot. But you have people who are dedicated to saying, hey, maybe if you do this, then this will improve our material condition, and we all do it together. It'll be cool, nice and dandy, and then we can go have cookies and ice cream on Sundays. See, we can't do that so often now. We can't do none of that ice creams and cookies on Sundays every weekend. But maybe, just maybe, should we organize? Should we come together and understand and address the needs of our communities, the needs of our material conditions immediate through us, the community, not through any corporate reliance, not any sort of a business or private enterprise. No, through the people that you may or less see every day, every week, people who live in your neighborhoods, your communities, your towns, your cities, and the rural areas of well, if you have any of those friends, people that you know, to connect with. And that is an important thing. The Vanguard Party is here to also connect people, right? In our formations and the buildings of this revolutionary party, this revolutionary apparatus, the one that will lead in hand, proletariat to great revolution, a revolution of which will revolutionize, change the relations of production, because right now it's privatized. And that's the basis of why we're doing it. Yes, we are feeding, we are clothing, we are reading, we are bedding, right? In our attempts to, as a working class as a whole, attending to each other's needs. But to what end and what point? Right? We're not doing this forever to just, go back to our jobs, right? This is where the redirection happens in gaining our strength. And that's the most important part. No, you can't build a house when you are feeble and weak, or you're needing something, and you don't have strength, right? Or recuperation, recovery, right? So you have to go about feeding and helping, aiding, strengthening the proletariat, the working class, the revolutionizing working class, because it is the proletariat, right, who are in the workplaces, and this is kind of guides into economic theory, kind of political. The worker is in production. The worker is all in production, permeates all through it. And the worker knows how to, of course, work production with the machines and the tools provided by the bourgeois. And it is only by this provisions does the basis of your capitalist society actually give weight to ownership, give weight because they own buys. That means it's theirs. And oh, okay, so that's the owner. They get all of that. Kind of a weird thought. Idea of ownership's weird, but in this owning of stuff, the laborer themselves, the worker, the apprehender of this technology, at which the application of their skills makes the values produced in the ways that the capitalist bourgeois wants to sell, to which the sale of that, the profits do not go to the worker. The person who labored and apprehended the skill to materialize it with the values, or materialize it with the resources to get the value out there consumed by the consumer, paying customer, all holly jolly. No. It is the capitalist who then gets all of that. And to why is that? Karl Marx goes into it, Wage, Labor, and Capital, tells you exactly how the worker is fucked, right? Because the business is afloat, the capitalist has already a means of subsistence for himself. He can go off and do whatever he wants for the rest of the day, tomorrow, the next day, next week, however many, and he would still have access to a means of subsistence, meaning that he would still have a house, he would still have food, water, shelter, and all that, means of comfortability, psychological health, and things that you need, right? Means of subsistence. The worker, however, not so in a fortunate position. It is the worker who works for, well, I don't say, I'll modernize the example. I usually do the shilling example. That's just in the book. $20 an hour, right? But no, that is only $20 for the hour that the worker produced. That is before, or that is your gross revenue. That's not your profits yet, if you know your terminology. It's your gross revenue. How much has been actually taken from the customer before bills, expenses, payroll, right? All of your bills. So it is $20 for the hour, right? Now, think back for the example, right? Ye olden days, when the minimum wage was like dollars, right? $20 for the hour. The capitalist, right? Whatever product that they were selling, resources, $10. Okay, right? Resources, $10 is all that. Now, because it was the resources who were owned by the bourgeois and the capital and the land that were, of course, owned by the bourgeois proletarian class, then you get this. $5 to me, I'm the owner. I'm taking a big risk here, guy. Hey, guy, I'm taking a big risk here, guy. Relax. You don't take my property. So the capitalist gets $5, and then the worker themselves for the 1 hour gets $5. Okay. Now, this all seems fine and dandy and whatnot. Oh my God, fair system. And this is the reduction of the capitalist kind of examples that your bourgeois economists will give and then make it seem like it's a fair and fun system. At such small numbers, negligible, right? $5 here, $5 there, okay. It's fair and equal on paper. When you actually practice the shit, though, when you actually put it in practice, see it in factories with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of workers, right, getting exploited all the same to this level and degree, this wealth distribution kind of, ends up making itself into the monopoly that the capitalist laissez-faire bullshit, this is crony capitalism, make it out to be. No, you see, when you have 1 million workers, there's a bunch of workers not making and not getting what they need. All of a sudden, where is that money go? Where is that value producer? Where is the profits going? It's going somewhere, and we all know where it's going. I don't know why we're not revolting right now. Of course you know where it goes. Capitalist hands. Where else would it go? Not going to charity. Don't like that term, but it's not going out to the public, right? Or not going into the institution. And if it is, it's being funneled right back into corporate interests and private holders and owners. Where's the money going? Back to the capitalists. I mean, if you're not seeing it in your neighborhoods, if you're not seeing it on the streets riddled with potholes, if you're not seeing it in your public institutions that are crumbling, your hospitals ineffective, prices, you know where it's going. And you'll often hear of this lavish lifestyle, this American dream to achieve. Oh, I work hard, and then my life is super cool. How amazing is that? Yeah, that does sound amazing for like the very few people who can actually afford it here and afford it here. I'm putting it on my heart. Afford it as the soul and the meat of the person. Can you handle the stress it does not it puts you through? Because like I say, you can make money in the capitalist system, and it's not hard. All you have to do is 2 simple things: give up your humanity and be okay with and that leads to being okay with exploiting your fellow human. Exploiting your fellow person and then removing your hand. That's how you make a lot of money in the system. Seen it happen. I know people with some money, not good people. I know people with no money, pretty cool people. But That's not the rule. That's just been the experience for the majority of the most part. There are some people who have a lot of money, well, not a exuberant amount, like decent, right? Who are good people. And there are people, of course, who have very little money who are not so good people. But that's not the rule, right? Under your experience, but for the most part, it is this rich assholes, poor people kind. As a fellow poor, I can attest to this. This is true and correct. And it is this Vanguard party, we're back on the Vanguard. Always do with the Vanguard. This intentional class conscious group that guides in hand everyone, the lumpen proletariat, you're unemployed, you're imprisoned, and you're unhoused, right? You're especially oppressed in society, and among other denotations. And then, of course, your proletariat, your working classes. And then also, not to class collaborate, but the falling classes into the proletariat. So we're talking about your petit bourgeois, your peasants, if there are any left, your other sort of class detachments that aren't quite proletariat, but not capital owning, or at least to the sufficiency of oneself and maintenance in society. Right? You're falling into proletariat class. The Vanguard pools all of these classes together and organizes them as the one proletariat against the one class of the bourgeois owners, right? Who only have two apparatus to their name to legitimize themselves: a violent force and a non-violent force. The state legislature, or the state, right, as a form of law, and the, military force. Obviously, that's your violent force, right? So the Vanguard must take account into these two apparatus and form two of their own in self-defense. You have to have some sort of defense, an ideological understanding of the state, and then you have to have an understanding of how to defend yourself physically. Of course, this is where most people get the militant side, like, of course, take up a gun. If you're a socialist, you take up a gun. SRA, Socialist Rifles Association, military side. So you have to prepare yourself for the impending revolution. And this is to say, not everyone will, although everyone should, take up a gun. No, I'm sorry. That was the communist inside of me speaking. As far as GSUS is concerned, right? To which I also believe. This is the state. This is a statement. Not everyone is going to pick up a firearm. That's the fact of it, right? Did everyone in America here pick up a firearm when World War II happened? No, there are two fronts to fight the battle, to fight this battle that we're, having this fighting generation after generation. There are multiple ways to go about this. Primarily two: violent in the physical sense and non-violent in the physical sense. Non-violent in the mental sense and violent in the mental sense, right? That's why you'll hear me say sometimes, often, because it is true. I'll subscribe to this. I'll say it all day and night. GSUS is systemically violent, or mentally ideological violence. It is this advocation for making aware and making the standard. People have a right to a home, and all people not just should, but will be put in a home so that they can protect themselves from the weathers. And that home will obviously come furnished with whatever they need, or, bent to whatever they need for their comfortable living. This will be something that happens. And that's not a crazy thing to say. To which that will come from who? Us, you, your neighbor, I don't know, people of society, because we produce at a surplus already. People are imagining that you provide all these people things, and you're the one doing it. You're the one building the house. You're the one building the fridge and putting all the furniture in. No, everyone goes about doing that. We all play our little parts and pieces, no different than we do now in today's society, to quote Marx, roughly. Or to paraphrase, Marx says socialism is already here in terms of capital, right? This understanding that most Marxists the capital's already here, the machine's already here, the technology's already here, right? Developed, apprehended in the incorrect ways. Because AI is, I will say, a great tool for monotonous tasks. It is an absolute horrid shit show, fucking piece of shit technology for art. Yeah, but it's good for tools for monotonous tasks for coding and whatnot, right? That can help you with that. It's a tool, right, that you use. It's not something you use for someone a human can do, right? To express themselves and whatnot, to give you that life satisfaction. Why are you letting machines do that, right? And it's distasteful. It's horrible. It's gross. Gross. Yeah, and AI is only ever getting more convincing nowadays. It sucks. It sucks living in the future. Right? The South Park episode, saw it. Yeah, it sucks here. I know, but we go about this Vanguard. There it is again, the Vanguard, in apprehending all of these struggles. What to do with technology, what to do with the state, what to do with nonviolent apparatus, because there is. So right now the party is not non-violent. We're setting up our defense structures, but for the most part, organizing is this non-violence. It's not violent to organize, right? It's only until you get to that violent stage just to become violent. Of course, when organizing, I mean, it's a given. But we run study groups. Not very violent. We agitate people on the street, talking to people, a flyer, poster. I mean, some of the most vanilla stuff you can think of organizing, right? And then sometimes you do some other stuff. I'm not gonna say some other stuff, but some stuff. But the Vanguard Party does go into these addressings. What do you do with the state? What do you do with this? It's like stumbling across something. You're like, what do we do with that? And then ignore it, and then just assume what it did, saying it after. Like, no, you figure out what it is. A little sidetrack, kind of related. How's it going, Day? That's right. A little off topic, but there was this example of debunking great man theory. This is a great man theory debunking session, right? We don't like great man theory. Great man people around here, we don't do that around here. So in continuance of not doing that around here, we're going to talk about it. Talk about this example. Let's say the person who invented the spearhead. We don't know their name, right? They must be some great individual, great person who just thought of like to grab a rock and bang it on another rock, obsidian stone, and carve a spearhead and then use the tar or something or like a rope, twine to fix it to a stick, and then that's a spear. There you go, spear. Oh, the one person who did that was obviously super great and cool, amazing. I'm no anthropologist. I'm no historian. Deep human history, Homo sapien, like 100,000 years old. But I'm pretty sure in the development of right, you would have to have some sort of way to get the tar. That itself a technology, application of heat onto your tree sap, right? So you had to have found a way to get some sort of sticky material, right? That itself, the stones and the obsidian rock, right? But in what ways do you actually go about doing that? See, humans are a very unique creature. Our ability to differentiate ourselves from animal and or us to animal is that we can more or less think about things, right? How could things be? And it is this, and this is where I debunk idealism and great manning. It is the rearrangement of the material condition that does make the things that we come to see. Nothing is created in here. I want to make this very clear. Nothing is created in here. Nothing is created per se. Things are rearranged. Rearrangements never made before, right? But it is this materialization process translating in the material condition when you do stuff, right? That does then make it possible, right? In this rearrangement, but this is a synthesization and a dressing of contradiction to the material condition. So when you think of stuff, right, it is simply the rearrangement of the material condition. What's going on right here? Rearranged immaterially. Immaterially meaning that it's not bound by the same restrictions and limitations of the material condition, which is why our apprehension of the material condition is so important. Dialectical materialism allows us to analyze the material condition as it is, giving us a base root foundation of how to rearrange the ideas in our head to better reflect what it will come out to be. And we do this in reverse when analyzing things. This is this because of that, what you see. That was a very oversimplification of it. But taking into dialectics and understanding things as they come to you, it is not a reactionary kind of action. You don't just, whoosh, whoosh, I'm going to get this and I'm going to throw back with that. Raw, boo, scary. No, it's you take it, learn it, understand it. What is this? Obviously, you get into the step, the PEP, the program. You get with understanding. When you receive something, like you see the word fascist, raw, ooh, boo, scary, right? Because you know what it means, but it's not until you understood what that means do you become with it, right? Theory of knowledge, gaining knowledge, becoming with presence, right? Because you become familiar with it, you understand what it is more in throw, and it becomes more or less of a reactionary reaction. It becomes an action to an understood phenomena, right? You see gun, danger, depending on where it's being pointed. If it's there to defend you, yippee, right? If it's there to harm you, boo. Understanding the context of whether or not this firearm is pointed at you or this situation is happening here or whatnot. See, it's all a dialectical understanding, case by case, with the commonalities, understandings of what you know fascism to be, what you know communism to be, what you know the electoral system to be, right? And understanding, but it is all, and we are all seeing the same thing, the material condition. You are seeing the same mic that you are seeing here, that I'm using. You are seeing the same pencil, right? You see that pencil? That's a pencil. You would say that's a pencil too. Mechanical pencil. '07, yes. You're seeing all these things. Those jackets, the door, the bright ass window, I don't know what to do, some bags over there, blanket, right? Glasses that are broken, obviously, red scarf, red neck, right? Ooh, I'll tell you a little bit of history about that. You have time? Yeah, we do. But continuing on, all things that we do and have exist. You have items that you exist with, right? And they exist. Other people have items they exist with. And all this sets the basis foundation of the material condition shared. All does that which exists. And, right, I'm going to say another example. Does a tree in the forest make a sound when it falls, crashes, and tumbles? The obvious answer is yes. Yes, it does. You're just no one's around there to hear it. You would still know and understand that when that tree fell over, it still creaked. It still made a sound when it fell. Someone around the world yelled timber, and then the tree fell, crashed, and all the branches scattered around. All of its little animals that lived in there, bugs and whatnot, all scattered around. Ooh, my God. Yes, it does make a sound. That's correct. Because we know how the material condition processes, how the material condition goes about. When a tree falls, you're not just expecting it, you know that it will, make a sound when it falls. So, the establishing the material condition outside of you, right? That one, a little bit of, I want to say like an elementary understanding of idealism. But is that what that basis is? Does stuff happen when I'm not there to experience it, right? The idealists of the modern, you might get that, yes, there's an outside world, but you will never get an idealist to legitimize the outside world because they're hyper individualistic. Oh, me, I think therefore I am, whatever I think. I can't change how you think, so there's no point of talking to you and changing you. Ooh, scary. Oh my God. I'll give myself the chills. What? Don't tell me that you believe in this idealist nonsense, right? We live in the same world, right? We live in the same world. We live in different worlds. I'll tell you that. Every single individual lives in different worlds, but we live in the same world. There are two worlds and only one of them that we can change each other, right, directly. This is an indirect change. This is the direct change, the material condition, of which then actually makes change here directly, right? Because the material condition changes directly. We, as the individual, even though a part of the material condition, don't change. Because that's not, we're not talking about the human individual condition. We're talking about the house, the conditions, the actual the processes and steps that it takes for you to live a life, right? To get that what you need to survive. Those conditions, those material conditions, how those rearrange themselves into your life and make that which is yours to have and others for to experience and share, right? We go about this dialectical relationship in our societies one by one. And it is hard. And I know it's going about organizing, especially here in the imperial court. Sucks dick. It is hard going about trying to get people in certain neighborhoods. Other neighborhoods are fine, great. Other neighborhoods, more often than not, is this individualism. No, I'm busy. I can't do that, whatnot. But you still show up. And that's the important part. You still show up. You still like, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to go, actually keep my boots on the ground. Because the moment you're gone, the movement's gone. Right. And it's not you, the individual, you, the one person, all great. No, it's you, as in the whole mass, as the whole of GSUS. There's all of our people putting boots on the ground, handing around flyers. Some people sign the strike cards, going out and agitating, learning about more different sides of politics, understanding the material condition. It's great. And we need more people, boots on the ground, talking about it. Strike. Why strike, right? And we're changing society. We're going about this great change. And this great change is this revolutionizing of the relations of production, right? People don't want to own businesses, at least in the modern, because that comes with managerials of the private. It comes with occupations and duties of the private, right? It is this distinct division of labor of the modern business that gives distaste and not so nice regards to the becoming of a business owner. But we are the business owner in the proletariat dictatorship by collective ownership. It's not everyone's responsibility to decide on, okay, how much everyone get paid and whatnot. In fact, everyone would still be doing the same things in their respective different ways, right? The eventual division of labor will come through the blending of occupations. So no longer does the barista stuck at the cashier making their drinks. Now the barista maybe once or twice a week will go into the office and run reports, all boring like and whatnot, removing the division of labor of mental and physical work. Let's say the UPS, there it is again. It's just like, three distinct positions that you can make in that job real quick. The mechanic, the driver, and the package handler, right? And then the clerks inside the buildings and whatnot, which I would say go under package slinger. But you have these distinct positions. Now, no longer the mechanic stuck going to work in one single branch, fixing on trucks and then heading out at the end of the night, never driving or slinging a package. Now the driver has an opportunity to fix their own truck, right, or sling packages themselves in an earlier part of the shift, and then later go drive out, right? The package handler would then have a time to learn about the how to fix a car and then learn about how to drive a car, or be a tag along to driving around, dropping off the packages. There are so many ways to explore production, to humanize production in our given ways. We just don't go about doing it. Profit incentive, profit motive. I mean, it's not a bent at which absolute. The profit motive makes bent because of how we go about producing for society. And if we keep producing it privately, of which, i.e., asking for compensation for commodity production, it's like, well, I produce all this stuff, I want to make money off of it. Remove yourself from the mindset, right? I'm pretty sure all of us are, pretty much all of us are in that mindset, give to your fellow person, your neighbor, whatnot, give, right? Be a good person, whatnot. But for the common, for the most, for the liberal, for the liberal, it is this transaction-based society. It is this, I will do what you want, just, right? I'm just need some, and then we'll talk, we're good, right? This transactional society. Still exist transactions in socialism, but we do not appropriate them. We make appreciative. Hey, thanks for that. No problem, I'll do that for you later. Or it's like, oh, don't even mention, don't worry about it. Because we'll be living in a post-manufactured scarcity world. It's not post-scarcity. We're already post-scarcity. We are in the era of manufactured scarcity because it's all fake. People throwing away food while people are starving the world. That's manufactured scarcity. You're throwing away stuff that could be used to help feed people, or you're throwing away materials and stuff that which could help build infrastructure for the people, right? It's manufactured. We don't go about just not having enough. We have enough, and we're getting to the point where we're not going to be having enough. And that's the scary part, right? The scary part is knowing that we have enough. And if the system were to continue, then, well, obviously we won't have enough because it's been wasted all. But it's all is recyclable, whether or not we can use it or not. And that's our impending doom. But hold on, revolutionary optimism. And this is where the Vanguard Party comes in. Haha. You thought I was done with that one right there. No, I'm not. The Vanguard Party, when it comes to revolutionary optimism, to fend off this impending doom, this feeling of this, oh my God, what do we do now? Is this, and I love to call it, party culture. Wow. Party culture is something more than friends, less than family. It's a relationship, professional, and yet there's something quite beautiful about it. In this relationship of the Vanguard, among its Vanguard Party members, and note and need mind you, GSUS itself, not an official Vanguard Party, but kind of basically acts like one giant Vanguard Party. I'm not gonna lie. It is this bunch of people dedicated, continuing to learn. That is your open mindset, right? Continuing to learn, being open to learning, this conscious class, this knowing of, maybe guys, something you should do. It's like a baby infancy in the Vanguard stages. GSUS is this people coming together, intentional, to conduct a revolutionary strike, at which will not just gain demands, but revolutionize the system altogether from the redirection of our labor. Because in a traditional reactionary strike, you go about this withholding of labor and then giving it right back. No, it is this revolutionary general strike, US strike, that does the redirection of labor, revolutionary, withholding, redirecting towards systems and structures that take care of us rather than exploit us, right? In your antithesis, the current patriarchal relationships, hierarchical, right? And where you go about abusing the dependent, using the dependent, right, for the benefits of the overarching power. No, it is in the benefit of the overarching power, to which the overarching power lies within society, right? Benefits society. So yes, I will say, as the communist, right? Centralization, good, yay. But how do we go about doing that? And it is this entry point of decentralization that will build the foundation of this sort of more or less autonomous society we will see. There will be leaders. I'll tell you that right now. There will be leaders of particular positions, right? So there will be, let's say, 1, 2, 3 couple, most likely a council, right? Most likely a council of these leaders that will take in of critiques, comments, questions of a particular given community, right? Or particular area in these layers, but it's like a cake layer. It's not like a layer, right? It's a layer. It's a tower, right? Hierarchy in a tower, but the base is big and each layer is big as well. And as the structure gets bigger, the base gets bigger as well. It's intentional, right? So instead of building this pyramid, right, it's just a bigger structure that keeps going up. It's wider. It's as wide as it is tall. It is this mega structure of the community, based in the community. How fun is that? How fun is that? That is delegation, understanding what needs to be done with a strong base, with a strong understanding of what does need to be done. How can we get this and do this? Working within the structures that we have built, working within the structures of what is possible given what we have, right? In the formation of the state, the goal of the Vanguard Party, the stuff we're doing now, this is the state, fellas. This is what is going to become the state. The people that you're seeing now, the structures and organizations that you're implementing, putting out. Maybe we can vote it like this, do it like this. Take ideas and concepts of democratic centralism and apply it, praxis within your organizations, your organizing spaces. How do you go about making decision making? How do you go about organizing such and such in what ways in the organization you're in, the party or whatever? This is the making of the state, because in our organizing, we go about living the life that we want to live and want to do as. And so we make it the common scheme to organize as such, to know and pinpoint where problems are among the community and knowing how to address them. In our organizing spaces, thus we make the state itself, the state of all of us, to which has that monopoly on violence, to which then enacts that intentional, intelligible to the common aim of the community made common, because, well, then it's all of us, right? So not even using the language of the state, it is us, the collective, that goes about making such an authority, because we are the authority. We, the people, and acknowledgement of each other are the common authority. It is this separation of the modern that makes the authority, right? It is ideological. This is material. We, the common people, we are material. Thus, we have what it takes to organize society in such ways, socialistic, not capitalistic. So, going about society and the change of it, it's us, it's we. Ooh, drink some water. Yummy. People, society coming together, and it is this up 3.5% quantity into quality, right? What a not a coincidence, what just a correct orientation, understanding of what needs to be done. Quite the banger. The vision was there, and we're seeing it happen. So when you put water on a stove and you crank up the heat under that pot of boiling water, it eventually boils, right? That contribution of heat, this quantitative contribution of that heat, changes the state of the water molecules from a liquid to a gas. And it is this quantity into quality that translates into change. The word change is that relationship, quantity, quality. Oh, you know when that temperature that water is about to boil, it's about 100 degrees Celsius, right? Right? That's how it works. 100 degrees Celsius, human dies. 0 degrees Celsius, human dies from cold, right? That's how I remember it in Celsius. 212 in Fahrenheit, some weird number. And then 32 degrees for ice and cold for Fahrenheit, also a weird number. But that's kind of, so off topic. I'll promise I'll remember what I'm talking about. The Fahrenheit system is based off of feels, vibes. 100 degrees Fahrenheit is like, ooh, that's hot, but it doesn't. It's about to kill. It's super uncomfortable, but it's hot. Anything past that, you're cooked, literally. Anything below, that's like 60 is kind of cold for 30, you know, and then you get below 30, you're like, hold on, closer to 0. Yeah, that's but cold, right? But it's not deathly cold. It's almost deathly cold, but I think the Fahrenheit system is based off vibes. Celsius system is based off of how we can measure the world, because meters and centimeters and kilometers are a lot better system to measure, and it's a lot more consistent than using yards, feet, inches. Ridiculous, right? Miles. Anyways, I broke my promise. Did forgot what we're talking about. I'm very sorry. Vanguard Party. Oh, wait, no. The Vanguard Party, through this, caught it. The collecting of this 3.5% of the population is this quantitative, gradual change into the qualitative state of the people oppressed, the revolution in a sense, the revolution pending, right? To what then we reach at 3.5% of the population sustained participation, whatever we make it. Whatever sort of mutual aid systems we have in place, whatever sort of communication systems, whatever sort of anythings that we have in place for the strike at that 3.5% does then make it what it is. It negates into what it is. Will we say that's revolution? We could say that's, something else or whatnot, half step, quarter step, double step into revolution or whatnot. But it is that whatever we make it to be, participants make it, right? Strikers make it. The working class and the laborers then make it. It is this. We the people, by the people, not your bourgeois people, not your people inherently separated and segregated on the basis of any of that which is not a class struggle, class-based, economically, politically, and socially connected as a class. No. The class of the particular is what the bourgeois engages in, and that's why they love the system, because it can make a profit off of these many different classes, identities, and struggles. It doesn't care, because it does operate on the profit motive. The proletariat, however, does care about this struggle, does care about who is suffering, because, well, that's fucked up. Why do people have to suffer? See, because there's, and this is a critique on Christian nationalism, and I'll tell you that right now, because there is this idea, this imagination of hell and heaven, right? In this appropriative sense, this, I hope you go to fucking hell, right? Or this, I hopefully you do X, Y, and Z, right? This appropriate use of such, right? And Marx says, what is it? Religion is opium of the masses. Not a bad thing, right? It just is not addressing the class struggle and not addressing the material struggle that exists. Socialism, religion, all you want, you know. However you go about satisfying your spiritual needs, banger. And that's what is the communist's aim, is to have bangers all around the world. It's like, you want to do this? Sure, do that. Like, do you have the means to produce this? Sure, do that. Because it'll be within the common scheme to go about producing for another, right? Not just for yourself. And that is the common scheme you have with the capitalist system, of which the Vanguard Party addresses. The Vanguard Party. Intentional and intelligible. This addressing of the mode of production current is this addressing of the privatized mode of production, private property, which the Vanguard Party addresses. And addresses as such: abolish private property, abolish class system. And it does work like that as such, because you no longer have this separation, this basis of separation, right? When ye olden of man, who what had created these social norms of man hunt and women gather berries, it wasn't even way back then when they actually gathered berries. Everyone did their fair share part of like gathering berries, hunting and whatnot. Everyone kind of did that, right? In your developing primitive communism, there was like your specific gender roles. So of course the man, strength, just biology, would hunt berries, whatnot. But more or less, everyone did what they want. Same thing in the feudal societies upcoming, right? You had general human behaviors. Not until you get to this fucking shitty ass capitalist system do you actually remove all of these behaviors. No. We actually do have a system of way to behave because we have money. No. You actually do have a system of way to behave because we have free thought. Liberal ideology, baby. We actually have this. Therefore, you must act like this, right? All this weird, contorted understanding of what it is to be a human. To be a human is just to be, right? It's just to be here. I mean, nothing really special about us being here, you know, it's hanging out here. It only does get special until someone makes that distinction, right? And the distinction then appropriated. The Vanguard Party, which does not make appropriation. God, I love the Vanguard Party. I'll even drop the link right here too. I'll do it right now. I'll do it live. Let's see, how fast can I pull this up? I actually don't have it pulled up, but I'll have to research it up. It is, and I'll drop this up periodically, how to correctly handle the revolution. Huey P. Newton, that's not it. It's the correct handling of a revolution. Correct handling of a revolution. Huey P. Newton, Marches.org. I read this every once in a while, especially this one paragraph. I think I said it a while ago too. Here it is. Very short read. If you want to take a little read, very short. Less than a page, maybe 2 pages, page and a half. Not too long. Good read. It basically goes over the role of the correct handling of the revolution is this: knowing the Vanguard Party's role in revolution, and knowing that there must exist this special detached class that works within, right, the brain to the body, this class and this force or this detachment that works with, not above, right? The Vanguard does not exist as a puppet master controlling the masses. No, it is the Vanguard. It is like more like maybe not the brain, the jaw, the eye, whatever, a portion and piece that directs and guides the masses towards revolution. And it is this essential piece and this essentialness of coming together as a collective in our own different respective ways. Mechanic, fix cars. Accountant, handle money. Plumber, fix toilets, right? In our own communities. Organizers do stuff with and agitate. Safekeepers and people who like take care of people, right? Go to shelters and whatnot. Like they're like these like different ways you can contribute towards the development of the new mode of production, the new social order, making it the common scheme of taking care of one of another. There is this intentional force at which we then go about having such a society because it has been well thought out. That's where the theory comes in. There's a correct understanding of what to do, right? We don't do certain things because, well, those things replicate and reproduce into not so great things, right? Even though in throw, maybe those things may come to us well, right? But when in practice, right? National socialism sounds great until you realize that the fucking Nazis did that shit. And it's, oh, maybe it's not so great anymore. You don't do national socialism because socialism is not a national phenomena. It is, and it is the Black Panthers, revolutionary intercommunalism. Socialism is an international phenomena because bourgeois capitalism, or your capitalism, bourgeoisie, is a national phenomena. Feudalism is a territorial phenomena. Like, they weren't quite nations, right? Because there wasn't really such a mix of like different. It was kind of like their strong hegemony. It was like feudal hegemony. So it wasn't really like a nation. It was a kingdom. We call them kingdoms, right? And then you have different territories and lands and slave systems. And then you just had, different tribes, tribals, primitive communism, and small, not small, right? Very large territories, but they weren't kingdoms, like bordering kind of. Capitalist system is bent on this private ownership. And in this relationship that keeps us where we're at, that keeps us bounded and shackled, which the Vanguard Party comes in, not gives us the key. And it is this critique. Not so much the key we are figuring out life, but it is this puzzle. And we're all given these puzzles every now and then with a bunch of puzzles in your face already, right? With no walls, with no borders, because this is the puzzle that connects with everyone else's puzzle, right? So you're standing out in front of a board, puzzle in front of you. You have some chunks here. They're kind of connected, right? But really, it's just a hot mess. And you look at everyone else's. Damn, that puzzle's incomplete. Some people you may say, oh my God, that puzzle looks complete. But is it correctly orientated? Are the puzzle pieces in the right spot? Is it not? It's not one big mass twisted upside down, right? It may look complete and whatnot and have the substantiality of its complete awesomeness. But is it correctly orientated? So when it comes finally time to collect everyone's puzzle pieces, is it facing the right way? Basically, not just conforming, but giving way to a picture complete and true to all other aspects and all other respects of the material condition and its peoples, right? Because if you have a whole section of the puzzle that's just cocked this way, then of course, to everyone's understanding, this portion of the puzzle looks correct to this understanding. But given the entire puzzle of the entire material condition, does that make sense when we fill in all the pieces? I don't think so. And it is this what we call the correct orientation of things. Puzzle pieces and puzzles go in one way. That's how you make the whole picture, right? There are some things we have concrete and founded where everyone's puzzle piece kind of generally looks the same, right? Oh, you have this here. Oh, you understand capitalism's bad. Oh, you understand like community sustainability events. Oh, you know how to organize. You know how to set up whatever, right? At least the organizing space. You have a job and whatnot, and you have like your savings right here, and you have like some other stuff like social life. You have all your puzzle pieces, right? Kind of made out, and then the puzzle fits in when you have connections to more people. Life feels more full, but given a bigger picture of life connected in society. It is this connection to society that is the basis of what makes, a society, right? Individualism, oxymoron. Or not oxymoron, contradiction. Individualism, being an individual in society, like I'm my one person, like Great Manning, it's kind of weird, kind of strange, kind of like how we not go about it, because as we say in the very beginning, who made this mouse? Who made this mic? Who made this sweater? Oh, hold on. Or. Yes. This was made when I was building a small business last year. Did not go so well, but I did make some. Freddy Fazbear. How funny is that? And then the small business, maybe I'll do this and that. Anyways, off topic. But take care of your neighbor. Take care of your people. Understand the material condition as dialectical materialism. That's kind of where this whole discussion, this whole tangent, right? I had to ride a lot on the Vanguard, how related. Hugh Newton came and saved Clutch, talking about an actual substantial thing instead of the usual common yap. Promise? Can't promise, I'm sorry. I'll make sure we'll have something more to talk about next week. But I do have a hard commitment at 5, doing some more outreach and stuff for the organization so that we can grow, so that GSUS can also have an opportunity in different areas to go and collaborate, and so that we can usher in proletarian revolution to be awesome and super cool, and that we can go out and like not be afraid to get killed by any fucking fascist pigs and whatnot. All right. That's it. That's it for me out of today. Any questions? I'll still be on for a little couple more minutes, but if not, no one's holding you back. Thank you so much for joining us. Talk about the Vanguard Party, talking about, this is highly class conscious detachment that knows what to do for revolution and then leads in hand, like the brain to the body or the eyes to the body or any part of the body with the body in hand to usher in revolution. Thank you so much. Sounds like that's it. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate you all. We will be back here next Wednesday. Always here next Wednesday. My Wednesdays are always free. Even with the organization Wednesday, I told them no Wednesdays. I'm not doing Wednesdays. Just because of this. And then I get the rest of Wednesday off. How great is that? So thank you all. Thank you all. Appreciate you. And then, that's it. See you next week. Bye-bye.